Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with theblogtoread.com. Please subscribe to Blog to Read videos on YouTube and like this video if you find it useful. I'm really excited to be reviewing the new iteration of the Omega Ploprof. It's technically the Seamaster Ploprof 1200. This is a model from, I think, the 70s that a couple years ago Omega decided to remake because it was like this hot kind of like cult watch. And as you can see, it's definitely a diver watch, and it's definitely very different. The sort of like remake version, it has some differences from the original, and frankly, unless you're like a hardcore collector, I would totally recommend to go with the new version because it's like pretty much better in all ways. It's more durable, it's better made, there's a better movement. I mean, sure, the old version has that sort of nostalgic and collectible and historic value, but this is really the one you want to wear. And you know, I'm going to use this opportunity to talk a little bit about this whole like vintage watch thing. There's a lot of really cool vintage watches out there, but wearing them today kind of sucks. They're not particularly well made. The movements don't run particularly well. They're expensive to be restored. And again, there's exceptions, but they're just not up to the standards today. We have these amazing pieces of machinery today that can make really cool stuff, and it just makes a lot more sense to get a modern watch. That's why I have a lot of brands remaking older stuff, because they recognize there's a value and there's a demand for them. But you know, most people want modern watches. So this is a great example of sort of getting that kind of look in this modern sense. So what are we looking at here? First of all, it's a heavy watch. I like that. Not everyone does, but I'm kind of a big fan of the heavy watch. And the steel case is like, I think if I recall correctly, it's about 55 millimeters wide, because it has this very unique design that kind of looks like a spaceship a little bit. Anyways, now when I first saw this, I had no idea what was going with this crown guard. I didn't know how to operate it. I didn't know how to release it. There's obviously something over the crown. So what I basically learned is that it just kind of opens up with the crown. The crown is really large. It's pretty easy to operate, and then you pull it out to access the various functions. It makes it a little bit tricky, and this thing is a little bit spring-loaded. And then as you basically screw back down the crown, it goes back with it. Pretty elegant there. I like it, and I think it has a nice look. The bezel has a sapphire inlay, which makes it look really nice. This was kind of between when bezels were aluminum inserts. That's what gave the numerals, and ceramic. Today the trend is to go ceramic. This is kind of in that middle period where a couple brands decided, hey, to make bezels more scratch resistant, let's put a sapphire crystal in there. I happen to like it, and I think that from a visual perspective it's nice because it adds a little bit of a shine to it. So if you see a watch with a ceramic bezel or a sapphire crystal inlay, a sapphire crystal inlay is obviously, and I'll tell you, a lot more expensive than ceramic. The ceramic one is expensive from a machining process to get it done, but the sapphire crystal itself is more than likely more expensive. This watch came in a couple of different dials, and the funny thing about this one is I can't decide whether this is blue or black. I think it's black, but I look at it sometimes and I think it's blue. There's a white version too, if you're into that type of thing. This is also one of the only watches with a giant orange minute hand that I will accept. I tend to not like the instrumental look of the giant orange minute hand because I think it looks kind of nerdy, but it just works well with this one. This looks like a crazy professional diving watch, and it has 1,200 meters of water resistance, which by today's standards isn't that much, especially as you have all these like 2,000 meter, 5,000 meter, 4,000 meter, and even, you know, much more diving watches. But you know what? When it comes down to it, you're gonna die long before you need any of these features. Over here is a helium escape valve, because you know you're going to need one of those as well. And what Omega did is do everything possible to make a super robust diving watch, and that's what they did. Will you ever use it? Probably not, but you can. Now you see right here there's this little like button. It's a little aluminum orange ring in there, and the way it works is you push it down and then you can turn the bezel, and unlike most diving bezels, you can turn this one both ways. This is cool. I don't really know why it's there. They call it a security feature, so you don't accidentally turn the bezel. But here's the problem. Okay, so I'm going to put the watch on, and just imagine for a minute that you know, I love how it feels on the wrist. Honestly, it's a big watch, but I love how it feels on the wrist. It is super cool. But so imagine, for example, I want to turn this bezel. Like, I have to hold down this button, which doesn't stay down, and then turn it. And so what I have to end up doing is do this kind of awkward thing where I'm holding it down with one finger and then turning it. If you're like diving and you're wearing gloves, what are the chances of you doing this? It's like 0. So I don't really get it. Maybe there's something I haven't figured out, but it's kind of a strange thing. So it looks cool and it's kind of unique and quirky, but in terms of using it, I don't know why they have these security things. I can't imagine when you're diving, like your bezel is like going to get caught on a rock, and that's going to screw up everything. You're going to have a backup computer anyways. It's like not that big of a deal. This version has what I call the shark protectant bracelet. It's mesh metal, or sometimes called Milanese metal. It also comes with a rubber strap. You might want it with a rubber strap, but this is kind of the more classic look. On the back here, you have a wonderful engraving with the Seamaster like seahorse. Literally, it's like a seahorse made to look more like a horse. And I think it's really done well. I mean, they did a good job. Omega does a really good job at making a nice professional instrument. Detailing here is really nice. And even the clasp is really great. You have this nice kind of engraving in here. It has a dive extension. See, and something even better, it's ratcheting. So there's a little button here, and you hold that down, and you can extend it out or push it in a lot. And what that does is it goes in like a lot more. It goes in all the way. And so what that does is give you like literally several centimeters. It goes in like I think millimeter increments, but several centimeters of give. So if you want to like loosen it up a little bit or let your friend wear it, you could probably do it without changing any of the links. But there are actual links in here. So you can see there's little links, and they did a really good job with this bracelet. These bracelets are not always done well. This is one of the better Milanese or mesh metal bracelets. It's really thick too, and it doesn't like catch your hair. A lot of these catch your hair. This one is done really well. So if you're like in the market for a mesh metal bracelet, I haven't tried on too many that are actually better than this one. And this clasp, it locks like this. Nice. There's a push button operated. It's a good clasp. But if you're diving, you know what? You're probably going to want to use the rubber strap actually. And this is kind of more for like just wearing around town, being cool, looking like you're going to evade the bite of a shark on your wrist. So like your watch will be fine, but the rest of you will probably suffer a lot of damage. Inside this watch is the Omega in-house made caliber 8500 automatic movement. It has the time and the date. Pretty good movement actually. I like it a lot. It has a silicone escapement and hairspring. Maybe one other part is silicone, but they make this is like the flagship 3-hand in-house made Omega movement that's in a lot of watches these days. It's in some of the Planet Ocean models and things like that. So it's a really great movement, and I recommend it. I recommend watches to have it. So this watch, if you fancy it, I can't see any reason why not to get it. It's really great. Price on this bracelet is, I think, retails for $9,700, and on the strap it's about $9,400. That's like $300 for a pretty nice bracelet. And again, this is the Omega Seamaster Ploprof, which is actually shortening of like professional plongeur or something, which is like diver in French, but that's what it is. And you can see the full review on a blogtoread.com. Thanks.